What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall market. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. So, as far as the market's going right now, SPY and the QQQ and overall market are still more bullish as SPY is approaching this 676 to 678 area. For now, we are still pushing higher. But there is one concern I have for bulls. I don't know if we're truly ready to go straight to all time highs yet. I am in the camp where I think that there's going to be a December squeeze, and I think that the market's going to be returning to all time highs. But I can't make promises that we're ready yet because of the possibility of a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder that could be forming on SPY before we get a nice rally like this. Now, before the right shoulder forms, before SPY returns possibly to fill this gap, and if we do end up returning to the 660s, I think that's going to be another good buying opportunity. And as of right now, there's no sign the top is in yet for us to possibly reject. We could still go higher for like 676 to like 678. It's just that SPY is like choppy, and I do want to warn you guys about the resistance. When we opened, we basically gapped up very nicely, and that's fantastic. But like I said before, with this inverse head and shoulders, you have like a left shoulder here, you have like the head. We could still return down to fill this gap. SPY could push higher for now, but if we get some kind of pivot, if we switch directions, if we reject near, 676 or 678, if there's some kind of rejection, I don't know when it's going to come, but if it happens, there's a big gap left on SPY to fill. The QQQ has the same setup. We're holding 612 right now. We're still bullish, but if we switch directions, if we reject near 615 or even like 618, there's still a gap below, and I would like to see us fill this gap first before we try to get some kind of bounce move. So, what do I see for SPY? Let's just go over this and I'll talk about my prediction. We're bullish right now. SPY could go for 676. It could even go for like 678. We're bullish for now, but I'm also eyeing the possibility of once again, a left shoulder, a head, and a possible right shoulder for an inverse head and shoulders. We could push higher for 676 to 678, but I'm going to be watching to see if we get a rejection to form that right shoulder before we try to bounce. The right shoulder also would align with our gap fill, so there's a chance we get some kind of rejection soon. Then we could be looking for a very, very nice bounce. On the QQQ, the same thing is basically developing. We have a possible left shoulder, a head, and then the right shoulder, right? That would eventually be a buying opportunity for new all time highs. But there's no guarantee we rejected yet here. We could be going higher. We could still pump for 615 to 617, although the QQQ is looking kind of like choppy. When you look at the 4 hour time frame, we have a very similar setup. We're still bullish, but this basically suggests we could go as high as like 615 to 617 before we get some kind of pivot. Once again, we're eyeing the possibility of a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. It's just that I do not see confirmation of a rejection yet. We have this inverse head and shoulders, and I'm watching to see if we get a rejection right here, very close to 615 to 617. We could get a rejection, then we could be looking for that right shoulder before we turn right back up. On the IWM, we could be looking for an attempt for 239 to 240 for some temporary upside. And then we're going to see if we turn back down to form a right shoulder before we try to bounce. I'm also eyeing this on the IWM. I'm seeing this pattern developing all across the board. We have a left shoulder on the IWM, a head. Then there might be a possible right shoulder if we get a rejection near 239 to 240. And then we could be looking for a bounce. Of course, wait for confirmation. Nothing is confirmed yet, but notice the market happens to be quite choppy. ES has chopped around this like 6,800 area. So I think we could be going a bit higher for 6,800. Like I said in my morning video, there's like a left shoulder, a head. And then before we form our right shoulder, we're going to see if we kind of like chop around 6,800. And then if we turn down, we're looking for that right shoulder before it tries to bounce like this. That's what could be forming if we get a rejection. So I'll be watching that very, very closely. Watch and see what kind of reaction we get at the higher levels. So watch 6,800 resistance. We're going to see if we kind of like chop around here. And if we form that right shoulder, that could be another buying opportunity. So watch that very closely. For now, we are bullish. ES could be pushing more for 6,800, but be careful once we get there. There's going to be some tough resistance once we get closer to that higher level. Same thing with NQ. We're bullish. We could be looking for this high to be retested around 25,350. But then watch and see if we're also about to form a similar setup, right? Are we about to form this inverse head and shoulders? We have a left shoulder here, a head and a right shoulder. We will see if we get a rejection or not, but there is a possible setup developing. Bitcoin is showing some weakness. It's going to be favoring 88,000 as our targets. Tesla, however, is looking more bullish overall. I want to see us hold 425 for confirmation. It's starting to chop up here. If we turn down, we're going to be watching to see if we're forming a bullish wedge. And if the market comes down and drags Tesla down a bit, it's going to create another final buying opportunity before we get to the end of the year squeeze, in my opinion. For Nvda, one of the reasons why the market started to dip a bit is because of Nvda. Nvda pumped really hard and gapped up, but now it's starting to slow a little bit. It retested this resistance, becoming support around 192. 192 is key. If that does not hold, we're looking for 190 and 188 as our supports, and we have 196 as our resistance. So we're going to see what happens. Watch that very closely. On Appl, we have this resistance around 275, and we have support down here at 270. When we look at this basically resembles a left shoulder, a head, and then a right shoulder that could be forming. That could cause a big bounce. We're going to see if that ends up being the case. If you reject near 275, we could turn back down. But watch that very closely on Appl. That's another setup I'm seeing. I'm seeing this just developing across the board. Palantir has tough resistance at 172. We need to break this. If we don't, we could be looking for 165. And AMD is range bound. It tried to push for 236 and rejected. Our support is at 220, resistance at 236. So we're going to see if we turn back down to 225. Coinbase is also rejecting, could be dipping back down to like 255. Amazon is looking like it's in the middle. It has resistance right here at 228 and support down here at 225. Could push a bit higher, and we'll see if you reject. Meta is looking more decent. As long as we hold above 602, we're looking for an attempt for 606, and we'll see what happens. But overall, I think Meta is still looking more bullish. Google looks more bullish, favoring 308 to 310, and then Microsoft is going to be favoring 497 to 500. Sorry, Google looks like this. I think I kind of skipped over that too fast. 308 to 310 is likely going to be tested. Looks bullish. Microsoft may temporarily push for like 497 as well. And the VIX has been dipping, but we're going to see if it bounces and comes back to fill this gap or not. So I'm noticing that SPY is testing some tough resistance. We're bullish for now. We could pump a little bit more for like 676 to 678, but just be careful as we push a little bit higher, because I'm looking at the possibility of a left shoulder, a head, and then we could be rejecting to form that right shoulder if we get a rejection. So we will see if this is what's about to happen or not. So watch for confirmation, be patient. Yes, we're pushing right here, and we could go for 676 to 678, but if we get a rejection, I'm looking to see if we form that right shoulder for the final bottom of the year, and then we're going to be looking for a nice squeeze to finish things off. I think that's most likely what is going to happen. The QQQ could be looking for 615 to 617, but then we're going to see if we reject there to form our right shoulder. So I'll be watching that as well, so be very patient. With that being said, guys, I thank you all so much for listening. I'm watching these setups very closely. I think the market pushes a little higher, but watch resistance. And let's see if we get a rejection, if we're about to form that inverse head and shoulders. I'm trying to make this video as simple as possible, so I hope you guys could see this resistance that's approaching, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get on SPY. If we get that rejection, I'm looking for this setup. Of course, I'm very open-minded, and we will see just to be safe. So watch your levels and be patient, guys. Thank you for listening, and peace out.